He was once a member of the Saudi inner circle, but was later killed by those in it. 1 year later, many questions remain, like who gave the order and where's the body? I'm Imran Garta, and today on The Newsmakers, we'll be looking at the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. It was Saudi Arabia's repression that led Jamal Khashoggi to live in self-imposed exile in the United States, and criticism of that repression that likely got him killed. A former editor of his at the Washington Post called the assassination a monstrous and unfathomable act. His killing inside Saudi Arabia's consulate in Istanbul 1 year ago, secretly recorded by Turkish intelligence, was carried out by a squad of hitmen, including a forensic pathologist who could be heard on those audio tapes laughing about smoking cigars while cutting up cadavers. All this while Khashoggi's fiancée Hatice Cengiz waited for him outside. From that same spot, just a few hours ago, Cengiz spoke at a vigil, telling the people assembled there that she and the world are still waiting for justice for Jamal. Adam Pletz tells us how this whole saga began.
This was journalist Jamal Khashoggi's last journey. A year ago, he entered the Saudi consulate in Istanbul to pick up divorce papers so that he could marry his Turkish fiancée. Once inside, he was murdered and dismembered. His body has never been found. But Turkish intelligence recorded audio of Khashoggi's final moments.
Suudi Arabistan'a da verdik. Amerika'ya da verdik. Almanlara, Fransızlara, İngilizlere hepsine verdik. Dolayısıyla buradaki konuşmaları filan onlar da dinlediler, biliyorlar. Bunu sağa sola çarpıtmaya gerek yok. Kesinlikle bu 15'in içerisinde bunun katili veya katilleri kimdir? Bunu onlar biliyor.
After initially denying any responsibility, Saudi Arabia now says the killing was carried out by rogue elements, albeit they were state employees with a range of military and forensic backgrounds, two of whom had diplomatic passports. A UN investigation sharply disagrees with the Saudi version of events.
There is absolutely no doubt to me, based on my investigation, that the killing of Mr. Khashoggi meets the description and the criteria for an extrajudicial execution for which the state of Saudi Arabia is responsible.
Together with the war in Yemen, Khashoggi's murder has resulted in Germany, Belgium, Denmark and Finland cancelling arms sales to Saudi Arabia. The CIA has concluded Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman was responsible for ordering Khashoggi's death, but the US president has stood shoulder to shoulder with Riyadh.
They've been a terrific ally. They're creating millions of jobs in this country. They're ordering equipment, not only military equipment, but $400 billion worth of, and actually even more than that over a period of time.
The Crown Prince denies ordering Khashoggi's murder, but accepts responsibility since the accused killers were Saudi state employees. The trial in Saudi Arabia of the men Riyadh says are responsible is opaque at best, leaving painful questions unanswered.
I want to know who gave the order to kill Jamal and who else knew. I want to know where is his body.
Will justice eventually be served? Or is this a case of absolute power conferring absolute impunity? Adam Pletz, The Newsmakers.
Well, first, let's speak with a member of the United Nations team that investigated Khashoggi's death. Helena Kennedy joins us from London. She travelled to Turkey back in February, along with Agnes Kalamar, the UN Special Rapporteur who led the inquiry into the incident. Baroness Kennedy, good to have you on the programme. First of all, what was it like to listen to the audio of that horrible killing?
Well, I'm a criminal lawyer of many, many years standing and experience, and I'm now a senior counsel here in Britain. And I've been involved in many grievous trials involving horrible allegations. But there was something particularly really gruesome and brutal about the way in which Jamal Khashoggi reached his end. He was assassinated in the most horrible way, and listening to the tapes was really disturbing, because you heard a man who was confident, who greeted people in the embassy with salam, and then you saw the slow recognition that he was, first of all, he thought about to be kidnapped, perhaps transported back to Saudi for punishment and torture. But then it became clear to him that actually he was going to die. And to hear the man facing what he realized was his death was just horrifying. And the tapes are very disturbing. I mean, I know that others from intelligence agencies who heard them also described how distressed they were at what they heard.
1 year on, after all this scrutiny and all these investigations, including your own, are we in a situation now where there's a lack of information or just a lack of justice?
Well, I think there is certainly a serious lack of justice. I think that there are other inquiries that could continue. Our investigation, that of the rapporteur, Agnes Kalamar, and using me as one of her expert advisors, and a pathologist who also acted as an advisor to her, and a senior police person, we were absolutely satisfied that this was a highly planned and sophisticated operation. This was resourced and supported from Riyadh. Now, it's being described by the Crown Prince as a rogue operation. There were telephone calls intercepted, which we heard, and those telephone calls made it very clear that this was planned, that Khashoggi was somebody who was on some sort of list, that he was seen as an enemy of the state, and this was something that emanated from the top. And so you have to ask the question, did the Crown Prince know? We know enough about the way that this regime operates to know that very little happens without those in leadership being aware of what is taking place. But the second thing that I think points very strongly to the injustice of this is that after your own president in Turkey contacted the Crown Prince and was promised cooperation in any investigation, even after that, a team of people arrived from Saudi Arabia, 2 forensic scientists who came to the consulate. Their purpose was clearly to oversee a cleaning operation. We know that no permission was given to the Turkish investigators to go in with their own experts to examine these premises until many days after the event and after a cleaning operation had taken place. And that cleaning operation was overseen by 2 forensic scientists who were skilled in determining whether there was evidence of a forensic nature, and much of it was obliterated by the cleaning. And they were there. I mean, you can send in forensic scientists in order to assist in investigation, but the question was, were they also there to actually prevent proper scientific forensic evidence being available to those who investigated in Turkey. So this was obstruction of justice. And for that to have happened when already the Crown Prince knew that a crime was being alleged, for that to have taken place could only have been permitted from the highest levels. I find it very hard to believe that it wasn't within the purview of the Crown Prince himself.
Yeah. Very strong suggestions of not only a horrendous crime, an orchestrated crime, but also an orchestrated cover-up. Helena Kennedy, it's been a pleasure having you on the Newsmakers. I thank you very much for joining us today. Let's debate it now. Joining me in Oslo is writer and Arab Spring activist Iyad el Baghdadi, who's the founder of the Khashoggi Foundation in Oslo. Iyad is also an outspoken critic of the Saudi Crown Prince. In Riyadh, we have Saudi and Gulf Affairs expert Mohammed al Qubaiban. And joining us from Beirut is human rights activist Samah Hadid. She was formerly Amnesty International's Director of Campaigns for the Middle East. Good to have you all on the program. Mohammed al Qubaiban, thanks for coming back on The Newsmakers. As we heard from a very distinguished guest, the Baroness there, who was a member of the UN investigation team, saying this was resourced and supported by Riyadh. And she says it's very hard to believe that this didn't come from the very top. And by the very top, she means Mohammed bin Salman. That's the truth, isn't it, sir?
Hello, sir. Nice to see you again. No, I don't think so. This is the truth. This is almost a year since you and I talked about this matter a year ago. And what I thought is His Royal Highness was clear during his 60 minutes meeting and was transparent. And he talked how he think or how this will help the case and justice to go through. Now, Imran, you knew TVs start abusing the case, countries abusing the situation, and unfortunately, there is not much cooperation with the Saudi, let's say, justice or the Saudi government.
But Mr. Qubaiban,
to provide lots of information.
You ask us
can I
trust,
finish?
But you ask us to trust the Saudi narrative of events. At every point, it changed only when new evidence came to light contradicting their line. They first said, we don't know what happened to him. We have no idea where he is. Then it became, well, maybe something happened to him. Then became, oh, well, I think it was a scuffle. It was only once Turkish investigators and Turkish authorities released the evidence that they finally had to cave in. And even at that point, the story tended to change. You want us to trust the Saudi narrative, but it keeps on changing, only adjusting to overwhelming evidence. Why should we trust the Saudi authorities?
Because, I mean, you have no, it's not matter you have no choice, because they're saying the truth. What is the benefit of hiding information? Okay, what happened in the beginning, that's, I agree with you, there was contradiction between different talks, not enough information, and this is a crime. We knew people, they went outside of the leaders' information or knowledge, and what happened is happened, but let's go forward.
Okay,
and
so as we move forward, let's move forward. Let me bring in Samah Hadid.
What I thought,
okay, I want to bring in Samah Hadid.
Last point.
Okay,
what
last
I
point.
thought is there is, last point, sir. What I thought is that people, they don't want to believe that this crime is the Saudis themselves not feeling sorry for it. And that's why people start teasing, people start getting excuses. It won't help the
I'm going to
case.
bring it. Okay, I'm going to bring in Samah Hadid.
Stay longer and longer.
Okay, Samah Hadid. Mohammed bin Salman has taken a sort of corporate responsibility for this, saying it happened on my watch and I feel bad about it, but I didn't know about it. Is that acceptable?
Well, it's absolutely unacceptable. And I use Donald Trump's own words in describing the incident, where this is one of the, he said this is one of the worst cover-ups in history, and it is a cover-up. You know, as you mentioned, the Saudi leadership came out denying the entire incident and murder to begin with, and then they changed their tune and admitted that the crime had taken place. And now Mohammed bin Salman, who is out to restore his image and reputation internationally, comes out to claim responsibility. It happened under his watch, but wasn't directly ordered by him, which is absolutely farcical. Given the nature and controversy of this crime, you would imagine that it could only be ordered by the highest ranking officials and leadership. The other thing to note is that his closest advisor, Iyad el Baghdadi, was overseeing the entire incident and the brutal killing. This is an aide that closely advised Mohammed bin Salman, who was tasked with targeting dissidents, monitoring and hunting down people like Jamal Khashoggi. So we can only assume, based off of this and also the conclusions by the CIA and the UN officials, that Mohammed bin Salman and Saudi leadership, the highest ranking Saudi Saudi leadership were most probably involved in this crime.
So there is a trial happening in Riyadh at the moment. The supposed masterminds, Al-Asiri and Al-Qahtani, their whereabouts are unknown for the moment. Shrouded in secrecy, no great transparency here. Let's go to Iyad el Baghdadi. Iyad, you were taken into protective custody in Oslo. As far as I understand, the CIA tipped off the Norwegians that there was a threat to your life coming from the Saudis. This is personal for you. Did it make you think that the Saudis want to do to you what they did to Jamal Khashoggi for just speaking your mind?
Well, good to be with you, Imran. It is definitely a question that I ask myself a lot about the connection between the threats and Jamal Khashoggi's murder. It is more, the story is really bigger than simply a matter of criticism. There are certain, there's basically an extensive risk assessment that was conducted in cooperation and in coordination with the Norwegian authorities. And I'm not, because of the sensitive nature of these matters, I'm not allowed to go into it at length. But it is a fact that the chain of events that led to the threats against me really start with the murder of Jamal Khashoggi.
Mohammed al Qubaiban. A lot of people look at this and they think, well, the only reason Mohammed bin Salman hasn't faced any accountability here is because of US support. That even if the CIA says they have evidence that he ordered it, the fact that Donald Trump still stands by his Saudi ally, and whether the connection is political or financial or both, or a combination in multiple ways, ultimately that alliance with the United States rather, has allowed Mohammed bin Salman to get away with murder. Address that for me.
I'm still, sir. I told you now. His Royal Highness talked well clear, and he said it loud and clear. If anybody got any evidence, please provide it to the people. Now look at the what Miss Samah were saying. She saw Qahtani and she saw Asiri and she saw whoever was they did the crime. Now this is good. Provide the government, provide people, provide the media with the picture. And that's where we move on. Matter of that, the crime did not happen unless it's been directed by Prince Mohammed bin Salman. I think this is nonsense talk. What the Saudis did, I thought, sir, they are going in the right track. They restructure the intelligence, they restructure the security. They do. So, they will work.
But Mr. Qubaiban, will never happen again. As somebody who worked in the system, right? If they sent 2 private jets, a killing team of 15 people on 2 private jets, and they were sophisticated enough to send a decoy, a man who fit the description of Khashoggi, to dress up like him and walk around Istanbul for the CCTV cameras to pick him up on the streets. If what you're saying is true, then the entire Saudi system is so utterly useless that an entire wing of the government can do this rogue operation and others don't know about it. So the government's quite useless, isn't it?
No, but yeah, you're talking about how many numbers, how many employees in the kingdom. He said 3 million, and that was a good clarification from his side. And he said, I delegate authorities. I cannot be almost
you still
watching everybody.
You find his reasoning completely sound.
I agree with His Royal Highness answers, but I thought the people, Imran, doesn't want to help the justice to go through.
I want to get a response from Iyad el Baghdadi.
All this talk,
okay.
Iyad, whatever he said, or Samah, I think that's not, will not help the justice.
Let's get a response from Iyad. Iyad?
Well, Imran, your guest from Saudi Arabia, of course, is lying, and he knows that he is lying, and he knows that his own crown prince is also lying. But then his job depends upon it. I mean, I wouldn't be in Mr. Al Qubaiban's position for $1 billion. He cannot agree with you. If he agrees with you, and if he says yes to any of those answers that you're putting to him, he's going to be in deep trouble, of course. I mean, I think the framing itself is very wrong here, Imran.
لا, لا,
instead of us,
Iyad, what you are saying is absolutely wrong.
Instead of us speaking about whether or not
come into
MBS
this program till I am sure what I am saying.
Just
hold on, Iyad. I have to answer you back.
Okay, give Iyad a second.
And I don't accept.
Okay. Let Iyad finish his point, and you'll get a chance to respond. Iyad, finish your point, sir.
Well, as I was saying, Imran, this is the framing over here is wrong, because this man is being given a platform in order to deny things which are undeniable and to justify the unjustifiable. I don't think we should be on this day, on this particular day, the day on which Jamal was killed. I don't think we should be debating who killed him, because this is known, or who gave the orders, because this is known. We should really be debating what happens next.
And Mohammed al Qubaiban,
we should not be debating facts, sir.
Okay, fair enough. Mohammed al Qubaiban, would you accept an international investigation, possibly as high up as the ICC, into whether the highest authorities of Saudi Arabia ordered this killing? Because that's what a lot of people want. They want a closer investigation into where the order came from. If you have nothing to hide, would you accept that?
No, sir, I will not accept any other government or any other society or any other people interfere in our investigation. We have our investigation system, we have our rules, and I think we have professional people to do the job right. So simple. Will not allow anybody, and I will not accept it for myself and the government.
I think the assassins who killed Jamal Khashoggi were in fact assassins, were in fact professionals who knew what they were doing.
Let's be more logic. What you are saying, Iyad, is just, I think, you absolutely have zero information about the Saudi system, how the trial goes, what happened after that. I think you need to read the book and get back, give information, rather than you're saying, I am a liar.
Okay,
that's
so
not polite
let's find
to
out
somebody
then.
in this TV
let's
that I am a liar.
Samah.
I'm not going to go personal, but this is not polite.
I want to ask
I will not
Samah
accept
about what's going on in Riyadh. Now, we don't have a lot of information, as I mentioned earlier on, about what's going on in Riyadh. The Americans and others seem to be satisfied that the Saudis are working their way through a system of justice here. There are 11 unidentified suspects who have been on trial. 5 of them face the death penalty. So, say for instance, in the coming months, something comes out where we hear that the rotten apples have been dealt with. The people who are responsible for killing Jamal Khashoggi are facing justice, whether that's via the death penalty or not. Will that have any credibility in your eyes, Samah?
Well, it completely lacks credibility, because we need to just point to the history of, the criminal justice system in Saudi Arabia, which is deeply flawed. It's a system that does not adhere to international standards. There is a severe lack of fair trials. In Saudi Arabia, the kingdom is known for this. And when it comes to the specific trial that is currently taking place, holding those suspected of murdering Jamal Khashoggi to account, this is shrouded in secrecy, as has been noted by UN officials and many others. We have very little faith that this trial would actually deliver justice and truth for Jamal Khashoggi. It seems that these lower-ranking officials have been used as scapegoats to be tried for this crime, where the Saudi leadership just gets away with murder. So, we can't rely on any investigation or criminal proceedings taking place in the kingdom. We have evidence of this not working in the past. The other thing to note is that the international community has also failed to take the perpetrators to account, to hold them to account for this crime. The UN Secretary General has the power to actually open up international criminal investigation to confirm and get down to the truth of what happened to Jamal Khashoggi, but he has dragged his feet. And we've also seen this complacency from member states of the UN who refuse to push for an international criminal investigation. Right. This has been recommended by the UN Special Rapporteur and others, as well as civil society around the world. And yet we haven't seen any action taking place. What we have seen, however, is allies of the Saudi Arabian government and allies of the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, such as the US government, only provide political cover to the Saudi leadership and block any attempt to hold high-ranking officials to account, block any attempt to end arms sales to the Saudi Arabian regime, which would actually raise the political costs and hurt the Saudi Arabian government more than any other legal avenue. And so I think it will take a very long time before we see any ramifications or consequences faced by the Saudi Arabian government.
Yeah, well, what a lot of people are asking is the audacity. How does something like this happen, and how do the perpetrators seemingly get away with it after 1 year? 1 year ago, Jamal Khashoggi was killed in a heinous incident. The audacity inside a consulate in a foreign country, an abuse of diplomatic immunity, still many, many questions ahead. Iyad el Baghdadi, Mohammed al Qubaiban, and Samah Hadid and Helena Kennedy a little bit earlier on. I thank you so much for joining us here on this edition of The Newsmakers. And I thank you so much for joining us here. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.